Hello and welcome to Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans, Level 2. This is Lesson 4, all about telepathy and the functioning of the higher senses. So this lesson is all about as the journey of consciousness that we are on into being full spectrum humans begins to awaken the dormant or previously dormant capacities of the higher senses. And again, I've spoken in previous lessons, especially Level 1, Lesson 18, about the reason why humanity for such a long time was, cut off from the higher senses, that humanity had essentially occupied the chakras of red, orange, and yellow, but had not yet gone up to the level of green, unconditional love, and beyond, which are all of these higher faculties. But that the definition that I am defining here for full spectrum humans is a person who occupies the full octave of the potential that we have to experience here. And that includes what we would call these higher faculties. And the higher faculties are intimately connected with the higher self. And at a certain point, we will no longer make a distinction between, this lower self and this higher self. We are just going to have one seamless continuum and say this is one whole person. And we'll even get into the person being connected to a group consciousness, which is one of the aspects of telepathy that I will be talking about. So today I have several different sketches and paintings out here, all about the interplay between the brow chakra, which is located at the level of the eyes. It is usually associated with the center of the forehead, and it is associated with this bright indigo color, and the crown chakra, because these two chakras interact and interrelate and are really partners. They're a key portion of one's energetic anatomy in terms of perception. So first, I would like to share one excellent question that I was asked by a student recently about how many higher senses we have. Because also, often we talk about the third eye, this aperture here, this eye through which one may see, but it is not like you just have one higher sense. What I really said to this student was that we have 360 senses. We have an entire circle all around us of 360 degrees, that every single one of these degrees in this viewpoint is our higher sense. We don't just see through one little aperture. We see a complete rounded perspective, or a complete rounded spectrum. And also the sense that it is not necessarily seeing, even though, because the visual sense is so strong in humanity, and because my own visual sense is so strong, when I activate my third eye, I often interpret what I am seeing as visual information, a set of images that I can draw. However, it is also information that can be felt. So what I'm doing right now is I'm talking about what it is going to feel like when you begin to access these higher faculties. And first of all, everybody is different, and everybody begins to access their higher faculties with, let's say, different areas of expertise or different levels of expertise. And this is analogous to when you were a little tiny infant and you were just learning how to, let's say, if here's a little tiny baby, right? You're just learning how to move your arm or recognize your hand. It's like we, in terms of psychic powers and the higher faculties on Earth, are like little tiny infants of consciousness who are just learning that we have these limbs, this non-physical energy body that sticks out into another higher dimension. We're just learning that we have that anatomy and learning how to control it. Like this is a little baby that waves its arm all over the place because it doesn't even know how to control its own muscles. But that as you begin to recognize your own, arm, your own power, you say, oh, wait, when I do this, this happens. When I do this, this happens. And then you begin to see, I can do this. So what we're talking about here is the awakening of higher powers. Not everybody awakens at the same rate. Some people, and not everybody's senses awaken in the same way. So for example, some people, it might be really visual. It might be really about what they see, seeing colors, seeing auras. This is an eye. Seeing or interpreting the empirical levels of abstract truth as if they are seeing it with a visual perception. But for many people, it is auditory. Many people are clairaudient. They not only see images, but they also hear tones or voices or understand the chakra system, all of this chakra system in terms of tones and music. And I actually plan to do a lesson that talks all about the connection of the chakras to music. Perhaps that will be part 2 of this lesson. Because when we are in level 2 here for the advanced student, this is really all about refining your understanding, like as you are moving from, infanthood, mostly, lying on your back and kind of flailing around, to toddlerhood, where you can kind of stand up and walk around and, maybe even do some things with help from, more advanced, older organisms. Well, if we are in this state of psychic infancy, it is the state of humanity, full spectrum humans, just starting to learn, like, look, you have energetic anatomy, you have a third eye, you have this pineal gland, you have this mental consciousness. It's like saying you're a baby, you're learning, you have limbs, you have muscles, you have a mouth, and now it is about learning how to control them. So I'm telling you about some of the things that you can do with your psychic anatomy in order to begin to prepare you and to help you on this journey. So not everybody develops the same faculties at the same rate, just like babies develop all at different rates. So there are different ways to use and focus the third eye. And first of all, attention is a major part of what I'm talking about here. Attention is the energetic limb that we use to focus our third eye on a particular subject, all right? So first of all, attention comes from Greek, atenuos, and literally it means to reach out. If you could imagine reaching out, like reaching out with your fingertip or reaching out with your mind in order to try to touch something. Literally, whatever we focus our attention on, is what we are thinking about. Whatever we focus our attention on is what we are focusing our third eye on. So, here's the physical eye. Here's the physical eye. It is focused on a physical object over here, right? Now, let's say here's a concept, and I am focusing the third eye, the higher eye, on that concept. How do I focus my attention on a concept? Well, this is something that you experience every day. If I ask you to think about a purple banana or focus your attention on a purple banana, you are using so whatever you are focusing on with your attention, you are literally building a bridge of energy, a finger of energy that is reaching out and touching a particular object or concept. Now that in and of itself is an awakening or should be an awakening to the way that you use your mind. Because let's say here's a concept over here that is something that is very dark or has a lot of negative energy. And whenever you think about it, you are building building a bridge of attention between you and this concept, whatever that concept is. Whatever you focus on with your attention and your third eye, you are not only lending energy to it, you are building energetic bridges between yourself and that thing. So it could be anything. It could be a person. It could be a concept, an abstraction. It could be an event. But this has everything to do with mastering the mind and mastering the attention. Because really, in order to become a fully fledged galactic citizen, and I've been using the analogy of right now you're like a little baby who lies down and flails around, and then you might become a toddler and start getting up and walking around and everything. What does that mean? In what realm? I'm talking about the realm of hyperspace, the realm of time, a realm of pure energy where what you are thinking and emanating from your mind is what is going to be created. So right now, as infants of consciousness, most people are hardly even aware of their own creations, much less in control of them. As we begin some moderate evolution on a journey on the evolution of growing more mature, we begin to not only recognize that we have this energetic anatomy, but that we can begin to control it. Like saying, well, what do I wish to focus my attention on? Do I wish to focus my attention on the most negative stories possible? Like, for example, you wake up in the morning, you're drinking your coffee, you're reading the news. That is the equivalent of focusing your attention on some of the most, negative news and some of the most negative viewpoints possible. It's usually about murder. It's usually about violence. Rarely is it about an uplifting concept of humanitarianism. So that's one example of, focusing your attention and building bridges between yourself and events that might not necessarily be healthy or desirable. Another one is, if you use your imagination in an uncontrolled way, thinking about something that you don't want to have happen, thinking about, I'm just using red, as some negative reality here. If you focus your attention, this bridge of attention, on that negative reality, you are forming an energetic bond between yourself and a reality that you do not wish to experience. So it is possible, as you are becoming a mental toddler, to start to control that. If you find your mind is beginning to focus its attention on a negative reality, and you have built this bridge here between something that you do not wish to touch, you could almost envision this like an elephant's trunk, like it's waving around, it's touching this way, it's touching this way. It's a sensor. It's sensing reality. And, you're a little tiny child learning how to use your mind. So your reality sensors over here sensing, what would that feel like? What would that negative reality feel like? I have spoken about this in previous lessons, but one thing that you can do is you can say no thank you. When you touch on this negative reality that the sensor of your attention has sensed, you can simply say no thank you. You can also say not interested. And now you can even envision, just as I am erasing this, you can envision your attention erasing or like sucking that long tendril back into itself. Oh, look, I am withdrawing my attention from that. I am taking away that bond. I am no longer focusing on that reality. And now let's draw a completely different reality down here, and let's fill it with, here's violet. Here's a much higher reality. And now I intentionally am building my attention and focusing my aperture of attention on that reality. That is the equivalent of correcting one's posture. If you notice that you are slumped or you have poor posture during the day, all of a sudden stand up, bring your spine erect and bring your head up and expand your chest. It is like instantly rearranging what you are focusing on. This is part of becoming a responsible citizen of the galaxy, because I have spoken about in previous previous lessons about our pineal gland, right in here, deep at the center of our brain as being an emanator of realities, and that as we are achieving maturity and we are claiming our galactic citizenship, in order to do so, we must master our mind. We must master where we are focusing our attention and which realities we are broadcasting or emanating out, because that will show that we are worthy of being given greater and greater responsibilities, or greater and greater areas of manifestation. I know I've spoken about in previous lessons how this is Earth right here, has been, Earth, with like continents right here, there you go, Earth with some little continents. Earth has been in a quarantine. Now I'm drawing, this is a virtual quarantine. It is a mental quarantine. It means thoughts and emanations are not getting out. They're hitting this bubble and they're not getting out. That has been the case for tens of thousands of years, between 10 and 15,000 years. Earth culture and the consciousness on Earth has been limited to broadcasting to other beings that are also on the same planet. And this is because the level of reality that humanity has been broadcasting has been a very negative level. It has been a very low vibration, and not something that one would want to spread beyond the limits of this particular planet. If we're talking about something that you wish to emanate outward, we're talking about the higher possibilities that are about peace, that are about planetary harmony, that are about, essentially, if you look at Earth as an organism, like as this whole planet as an organism, that the body would be in a state of perfect health. That is the reality we wish to be emanating. So as you are growing more mature and learning to access your higher faculties, you are also gaining more responsibility and recognizing yourself as a mini creator who is emanating, you are emanating your own life experience, and that the combined emanations of your life experience, your life experience, your life experience, my life experience, all become woven together into a beautiful tapestry of consensual reality. And it shows, when you take responsibility for your life and for your emanations, that you are worthy of having the quarantine broken. And here I am erasing that quarantine so that now your mental emanations can go beyond Earth and third dimensional humanity and third dimensional culture. That literally you can begin reaching beyond only the people who live on the surface of the Earth in this time and this place. So this is also recognizing what your energetic anatomy can do. This limb that reaches forward, this limb of perception that is your attention, it is not limited in space and time. I will repeat that because it's a major portion of this teaching. Telepathy is not limited to space and time. You, with your mind, can reach out and speak to beings that exist in a radically different space without having to wait any amount of time. So part of the quarantine that existed for so long was the idea that you're limited by the speed of light, that nothing can get beyond Earth because all of your your emanations, your thought emanations, would only reach people on your own planet, because everyone else is so very far away. Like here, I'm going to draw this purple dot over here just as a representation of something that is billions of miles away. And that if you sent off a beam of light, it would take a very, very, very long time going all across interstellar space to have that beam of light actually reach the other planet. Beam of light or radiation in terms of radar or microwaves or FM broadcasts or television waves, that all of those waves that have been broadcasting off of the surface of the Earth, whatever, since the 1940s or 1950s, when the technology was invented, those waves are taking a very, very, very long time to get to our nearest neighbors in space. But telepathy means that you are not limited by how long it takes for literal waves of light energy to travel through the physical reality. We are beginning to talk about traveling through non-physical reality, that when I build this mental structure of my attention and I'm reaching out towards something, I am reaching out towards something at any time. I can talk with a person who lived millions of years ago, or I can speak to someone who will live millions of years in my future. Wrap your mind around that one. Again, I am asking you to do some yoga of the perception, to stretch your mind and your sense of perception and your sense of what is possible, to understand and encompass that with your mind, with telepathy, it becomes possible to speak to many people in a variety of times and places. Drawing this out so that you can see it a little bit better and really understand what this is a drawing of, because it shows the other people, the other beings that are all pointing, the other people and the other beings who are all pointing inward towards this central point of consciousness of the overall larger being in this picture, right? Well, let's say that this particular figure over here, let's say that they lived, 10,000 years ago, but yet through the aperture of their third eye, they are able to build a bridge of consciousness to this overarching person here, who you see their two eyes right there and there, to this person who might be living in the year 2000 or the year 2014. And now let's say this person right here, whose their head is pointing in, they might be from 10,000 years in the future. And they are reaching back into their past in order to speak to this overarching person who might even be their ancestor. In this sense, you start to understand that once you activate your higher faculties, the faculties of your brow chakra and your crown chakra, you begin to be able to access the knowledge and wisdom of not only humans, but, living creatures in many different places over a vast era of time. We're talking about you can reach into ancient cultures, you can connect with future cultures in order to speak with the beings who were intelligent and connected at those times. It is like a time phone. All right? The analogy is the time phone, which you can use to call up anyone at any time, anywhere. And this understanding, this is part of understanding. Remember, in the previous lesson, I was talking about the fabric of the universe and how it is a tapestry woven of many, many layers. Well, this is what we're talking about. See how I have all of these different layers, and the red, you'll see the red and blue. These red and blue threads are actually weaving in and out like this, up and down. Those are awareness. Those are threads of awareness. Those are communications and consciousness. And now you must begin to understand that this pineal gland here is an aperture through which you may perceive many different thoughts and have many different beings speak to you. And that each one of those thoughts is having an impact on you and an impact on your trajectory through reality. So what that means is when this red reality, when this red person thinks a thought and their consciousness connects to the blue reality, it has an impact on the blue reality and might change something there. And then a thought might emit from there and weave back into the red reality. So in this way, we are also understanding, because you can get a call on the time phone from the far future or the distant past that can give you an idea that can change your life. This is what I'm talking about, that you can speak to wisdom teachers from ancient times, you can speak to beings from the future that might be defined as extraterrestrials, because humanity will evolve from the planet Terra and become an extraterrestrial culture, literally non-culture of the Earth. But humanity already comes from an extraterrestrial place, so it is where you are evolving to. The whole point is, this is a new way of thinking about time and communication and who you can speak with. This, when you begin to activate the aperture of your third eye, opens up these layers of reality. It opens up your experience and your understanding of, hey, where do your thoughts come from? And also, how are your thoughts affecting others? Because remember, if you are blue and you emanate a blue thought, or you build your attention out to a being in another time and place, you are affecting them as much as they are affecting you. So it becomes a co-creative partnership. You start to see, it is just like saying, if I stub my toe, I feel it in my whole body. Well, if one being in one time and place emanates a thought, and you feel it and sense it in another time and place, you are a part of the same larger overall being or organism, and you are sensing with your senses from another part of yourself. I also need to do a little bit of talking here about the crown chakra, because I do tend to emphasize so much the brow chakra without recognizing the importance of the crown. And this image over here also has a lot to do with why these two are important. It is because they are perpendicular to one another. Perpendicular meaning at 90-degree angles. So this line right here is perpendicular to this line. They are at 90 degrees to one another. And I've spoken about in previous lessons how 90 degrees is that magical angle. When we jump from one dimension to another dimension, we are making that leap at 90 degrees. And what we're seeing here in the interplay of these two apparatus, you could almost think of it as a compass needle and the housing of the compass. This chakra, that is your crown chakra, is like the compass needle. It is your sensor that senses which direction God is. Is God over here? Is God over here? And when I say God, I mean the source of higher intelligence, the source of all energy and the organizing principle, and also the destination of where your consciousness will be returning when it is refined. If you have activated your third eye, this chakra here, but you have not yet connected to source, you are in a vulnerable position because you have access to any information that you wish to have access to. You can build your attention and send your sensor to sense information anywhere, but you do not have yet your connection to the source to tell you which direction to look, because it is this chakra of your crown that tells you, hey, look over here. Hey, look over here. Hey, now look over here. It literally is telling you which direction is God. Oops, which direction is God. God is at this moment in this direction, or the higher intelligence is in this moment at this direction, or it is at this moment in this direction. And in this way, we are talking about achieving galactic citizenship, where every single one of your thoughts is an intentional thought. So I'm going to turn that into part 2 of this lesson, the idea of mastery of the mind and achieving full galactic citizenship by mastering one's thoughts completely. Thank you so much for joining me for this portion of this lesson.